Good day to you.
Good day, Ethan.
How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for coming back.
Of course. Why would we be anywhere else other than here to help you work through the process that you as a civilization have chosen to take and undertaken energetically to elevate yourselves? We support you as you support us in your elevation, as you support us through our elevation.
Thank you. Do you have a message for us today?
The idea that you're being shown and being given hints of possibilities of versions of timelines that you are more than likely going to exist and move down in the years to come. Maybe not exactly as they've been shown via the particular videos that you were given to the channel.
Mhm.
They may not be exactly as they are shown in those videos, but they are at this time a good synopsis and a good guideline of what is possible in your future upline as you travel energetically, the timelines that they represent and that are possible for you now to experience are more of the idea of balance. You have swung so deeply, so erratically into the negative aspect that now, as you move forward years down your road, you will start to see a balancing of your environment, your technology, and your ability to just live.
That sounds ideal.
Remember, when you are going through a process, the birthing process itself, it's never painless.
I agree.
But those systems that have been in place for many years, many of them will fall away. Many of them will be destroyed. Let them.
Yes. How do you see the future of living in the cities since it's not really possible to grow your own food if you live in 400 square feet facing north with no balcony?
You will start in the years to come, start seeing people be able to move into more rural environments, more spread out instead of being so concentrated in singular locations with millions of people. It's a transition. It's a movement of energy away from these large population centers to give everyone more space and ability to have their own space so they can expand into the person they need to be.
Thank you. And the people that do stay in the city, um, what do they do in the city? They work in the administration of sorts?
Yes, the people that need to be closer to an environment where they can undertake or be in more facilitatory roles, it'll be relevant for them to actually experience and live that way.
Right. And the city will still be supplied by trucks bringing in everything they need?
Yes, and you will also see a transition away from the way trucks and the way technology that you have experienced for many years, closer to 100 years of your understanding. You will start seeing a rebalancing of that technology to be able to actually be sustainable and not destroy your environment.
What kind of power source are we looking at?
Plasmic in nature. You have been told for many generations that your planet is about to go through a process of a pole shift.
Yeah,
That event unto itself, when it starts occurring, you will start needing to see new technologies develop and grow and become part of your society to adapt to the new world that that event, which will last for years, mind you, years, but it will facilitate a growth in your technology because you will have to adapt to the new environment that it will create.
right. When you say plasmic in nature, do we still use wheels, or everything is floating in some way?
Well, you will still have wheels. You will still have that technology, but you will see less of a power system that is centered around gasoline, liquid natural gas, less of the things that would destroy the environment, more things that can just be created and power your environment without it being destroyed by destroying a power network.
Right. And by destroying a power network, do you mean the electric cars that we have today?
Yes.
Is that
With
a
the
viable?
with the geostorms, with the environment shifting, with the pole shifting, you will see a disruption to your current technologies, such as electric cars and other such electrical equipment, because you will need to adapt to the new environment. Because the electrical signal and the vibration of the planet that actually produces the energy will no longer be harmonious to that particular electric system, and it will no longer be allowed to function. So you will need to create whole new systems in order to have a society that functions.
I see. So there's no more 110 or 120 in the wall?
Eventually, you will see many free energy devices become wide use that will actually, at first, be expensive and be hard to harness. And eventually, it will become consumer grade where you have just a small device inside your home that actually generates all the power you need.
Right.
Eventually.
Eventually, yeah. When you talk about the pole shift, is this a slow transition, or is this an overnight thing?
Overnights in geological terms, but in reality, it will take a few years.
And during these few years, the electrical grid as we have it now will
We'll have
be
to
less
adapt.
and less useful. Sorry?
It will still exist to some extent, but it will have to adapt to new systems that will actually be developed over years.
So every house will have to be refitted. Every electric, anything electric will have to be refitted.
This will be a lot easier than you think it is. The technology we will offer you will
Uh,
accelerate the ability for you as a culture to be able to actually access the technology to help you grow and help you not pollute your environment.
Thank you very much for that. What's if we're speaking of the future today, what's the future of small independent retailers versus Amazon that seem to be swallowing more and more of the small independent retailers?
Those sort of companies, those sort of businesses that have grown to the point that they are unsustainable. You will see in years moving forward that you will no longer have such a system built around consumption. So, therefore, the actual corporations, the businesses that reflect that way of living, will no longer be able to be sustainable and they will lose their attraction to the populace eventually. Remember, none of this is automatic. None of this will happen for what you will see the foreseeable future. But eventually, most of these things will occur as you shift further down your timeline.
Right. It it makes sense. You mentioned that the population will reduce.
Yes.
So perhaps with less population, it's also possible to go back to smaller size supply chain, independent, local, regional.
Well, the population will not shrink as much as you think, but it will shrink. But that is merely a facet of a population that will eventually stabilize.
Right. At what point, last time we spoke, water came, and thank you for your advice. I've stopped almost completely consuming water from plastic bottles. So thank you very much for that.
Yes.
And this also came up in conversation throughout the week or so. Water, quality of water, water in plastic jugs. What's How do I want to say it? How do you see the future of the relationship of us and the water? Do we at some point realize that we're polluting the planet and the water, and it's time to treat it properly and maybe filter it until it's all clean?
Yes. You will start seeing new systems put in places, such as arid environments like the southern US or other parts of the world that have experiencing severe droughts, to respect the water, the rainwater that does happen and does move through the environment. You are going to go through some rough years of these kind of experiences where you don't have enough water. So you will have to create systems that actually produce long lasting results for help you to grow and help you to expand your technology to be more in alignment. As years approach, you will start to see technology that is reflective of being in alignment with nature, being alignment with technology that is aligned with the planet itself.
Right. That's good.
Water is part of the planet.
Very good. I know that the desalination works very well, and
Yes.
I believe I saw a clip of a machine that produces water from air.
Yes.
Is there, is there a future for this technology that you can actually give enough water for a small town?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
This is technology that is reflective of you have water all around you. You have the ability to have everything you need at your fingertips. You
Right.
have reached the point of momentum where these technologies will no longer be suppressed eventually. Not in your current state, but eventually you will start seeing your political systems, your technological systems, your sociological systems that you live by and live through more reflective of a balanced state.
Right.
You must go through a rough patch in the short while because it is part of the process.
I understand. Thank you. That I guess the white lines in the sky is just another phase of this stage that we need to get it, and unless we get it, that's what we have to live with.
Yes. And
Yeah.
eventually, if you continue down the negative route, which you are not as much momentum towards as you think,
Hmm.
many of these things will just disappear. Many of these things will lose power. Many of the things that they have been trying to guide your world down, it needs to be less about me and more about us.
Right.
Us as a world, us as a people. When you are coming from a state of selfishness where you need to withhold resources, you are coming from a state of fear. Where when you are more community oriented, you are in a state of we. You see yourself in your neighbor, you see yourself in the connection that you have. You must move forward as a community in a way that you cannot when you are coming from a place of me.
Very good. Very, very good. And I see more and more of this. I find that personally, I have better, deeper, more meaningful, and longer conversations with people these days. And it seems that people want to have a better relationship with other people in their communities. It's happening.
Yes. The machine,
And
it's there. It will free you and many people from having to do menial tasks all the time, but you don't want to lose the human connection. You do not want to lose the idea of your humanity because that is one of your biggest resources that we look for as people to come to your earth and actually experience and be able to integrate your point of view, because it is quite unique throughout the universe. But it does need to shift in a way that is more the idea of us as we are that. We are everything in our reality. Everything in our reality is a reflection of us and our values and how we see the world.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Remember, you told me once or twice we need about 10% of people to generate the effect that will kind of snowball the rest.
Yes,
Are we closing? Are we getting closer to that 10%?
a little bit every day.
A little bit every day.
You
What can we?
don't you do not want a rapid evolution. You do not want everything immediately as much as you think you do. You
Right.
want more of a slow evolution where things build naturally.
I see what you mean. It could be too much for some that are exposed to it.
Most, not some,
Yeah.
most. It's much
Right.
like the idea of us having open contact with you until it reaches a point of inconsequently or you cannot deny our existence. It would be too much for most of you humans to actually experience and see us in person. Because if you do not have the mental framework to be able to actually access that level of consciousness, that way of being, that scene of environments or people, you would lose yourself.
I get you. Expand the screen. Okay. How how can I say this? Let's say to get from the point of where we are now to the next step, is there anything we can do to help it happen, or is it just natural process where humanity is now going through, and slowly but surely the lights turning on?
Slowly turning lights on, slowly turning lights off. Allow systems that no longer serve you as a people to fade.
Right.
I know, I know. I say this very cavalierly through the channel. But if things don't work, why would you want them to stick around?
Fair enough.
Most of your
Human.
systems don't work, correct?
Correct. Correct.
Most of your systems are oppressing you, causing you to have long term issues, correct?
Correct.
So why would you want those things to stick around?
It's the pot with the meat. Most people are too scared to make the change.
Whether you want to or not, when the timing arises, the universe will make you make the change whether you want to or not. It's just your choice to be able to ride with the wave and allow the wave to guide you and carry you to where you need to be.
Right. Right. Fair
But the
enough. Thank you.
resistance and the pain comes from literally the resistance, the fighting of the wave.
Yes. 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 I'm aware of it. Larry Harvey, the founder of Burning Man, said once that, and that was in relation to Arab Spring, which was 2010 or 11. He said people don't make change until the pain to not make the change is too great.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is the motivational mechanism. What do you determine and deem as pleasurable? What do you determine and deem as pain?
Right.
When the pain is great enough, you will make the change whether you want to or not.
Yes. Um, Ethan, I wanted to ask you a little bit about. Oh, I wanted to ask you about IQ. I read somewhere that there was an extraterrestrial estimate of IQ. Would you estimate like the general IQ, say, of the North American continent?
In terms in relation to us or as a population in general?
In relation to you, I'm sure it's much higher, and that'll be my next question. But in relation to the IQ scale, the North American people in relation to themselves.
We have access to technology that you do not. We have access to more of the greater aspect of reality. The idea of measuring someone's intelligence via a test makes no sense.
I see.
Understand the things, the understanding that the things you do every day and the understanding your willingness to be able to look at things is more indicative of your actual intelligence.
Right.
the the idea that you need to be better than someone, smarter than someone else, it's not necessary. What is the measure of your character is more what we would look at.
That's good. Thank you. The other one I had in the box of comments about measuring was the frequency that you mentioned last time, and you mentioned that the channel was about 120,000, and that's a frequency allowing him to reach to you.
That is the minimum level for him to be able to actually connect to us. When he goes into the channeling state and sits there and connects to us, he raises his frequency and we lower our frequency to be able to connect up with him.
Is that an ability you're born with or you develop?
Because I am part of the first contact team for this planet, it is part of the process and the training that we go through to be able to connect and talk through different channels and different people. It is, at this point in my species, more an innate ability to be able to do these things, but it does require some training.
Right. And was the channel born with this ability?
No, he actually had to develop the understanding and take the time to develop a particular skill. He had some innate ability to be able to do it. That is where the precursor to him being able to actually receive our vibration, our signal, and let it translate it through him. When he had reached a particular frequency to be able to actually connect with us, that was the first moment we actually came through. There were some precursor moments for him to be able to go into a state like this. But generally speaking, it was not until the first moment that we came through and asked the audience to ask their question that the first connection was actually made.
I believe I saw it, or one of the very first connections.
Yes. But understand, he and we are more communicating through the higher mind and allowing the information to flow in this way. We are not actually coming through him. We are part of the same oversoul in that sense. We are merely just connecting to him while he connects to his oversoul.
Right.
And when we talk to all of you, we are talking to your higher selves and allowing their particular frequency to reflect back to you through our communications.
Thank you very much. That's wonderful.
But the transmission and the frequency is going through a metamorphosis in the last few of your weeks. So there will need to be some more adjustments made to the channel to smooth out the connection.
What kind of adjustments are these?
They are energetic adjustments to the physical body as well as energetic connections. They are being calibrated on our end and on his end to smooth out the actual communication to be able to communicate what information we have to share with you at any moment.
Thank you. Can we be of any assistance?
You are doing what you need to by asking your questions.
Okay, good. Would you teach me a little bit more about the frequency? Um, Anything at all? How do I access it, or how may I raise my frequency, or feel a frequency?
Be more in line with your higher self. Allow yourself to know and understand what the particular frequency of you, your higher mind, is, and act within accordance of that particular frequency. Usually it is the frequency of excitement or following your bliss, because it is the path of least resistance, and that is the frequency of your higher mind.
Right. So, could you say in the moment of elation, or I get a great idea, or I'm in the flow and things are flowing, I'm in that high frequency?
Yes, you are living in the present moment.
Yeah.
That's where all the great ideas are.
Right. Also, I found that a lot of the great ideas are in the shower. Why is that?
Because you are in a relaxed, receptive state that is in a state where you are also connected to the idea of water and allowing yourself to just flow through the moment.
So it's not the chemical make of the water hitting the shower walls, it's just the state of mind that I'm in.
Yes, and the idea of the water is a good conductor.
Right. Okay, good.
So you are getting a shower from your higher mind as well as physical water.
On the topic of water, I think a lot of people would like to learn more about water. Um, is there anything more you'd like to tell us about water, the future of water, quality of water, drinking water, filtering water, anything at all on that topic?
You will be still going through the idea of needing to repair your water system, repair the idea of water inside of your reservoirs, inside of where you store them and how you store them and how you treat the water. The water itself has memory. So as it moves through a city, it moves through environments where there are many humans, you will pick up the emotions, the imprints, the memories of all the humans that that water has traveled through. All the people, all the animals, the environments where all that water has existed for many years. If you would like to understand another reason why to get away from cities, why to get away from places where there has been a great deal of concentrated negativity, is you are drinking in those emotions, those understandings, those negative events.
So I'm not imagining that sometimes I walk into a place and I feel a lot of negativity.
No. Many of you have been told that is your imagination. Many of the people that operate on a high frequency that are not quite understood by the greater populace yet. Because many more people do function in this way. It's just they are too afraid to allow themselves to be more fully open to who they are. Many more humans on your planet at this time and that are moving up through the ages and the time have these abilities, are naturally inclined in this way, and this will grow until a majority of your population actually functions more holistically. And this is a natural state of this holistic way of being.
So thank you. So as I get closer to and with nature and with my true self, my
Yes.
true godly self, also
Yes.
my intuition would rise.
Yes. It is
Right.
a natural side effect of raising your frequency because you're living more in the moment. So you are able to receive in the moment those things that are germane to you and what is important for you and relevant for you to understand in the moment. This is
Right.
why
So
we do not actually go with our IQ tests in that way, in in our psyche, in our way of understanding things, because the way we process and experience reality is much different than the way you experience reality, because we are on a much higher frequency, and our understanding of what reality is also much different and outside of the realm of what humans can actually understand, which is why an IQ points are not relevant to us, because we know everything we need to know in the moment all the time.
Right. Right. I see it. So I would stick to this topic, and I would say, so I raise my frequency. Eventually, there's wars and violence will cease
Eventually,
eventually, and at the
you
same
are
time,
you there will be still smaller events happen for years, but these large events that you are currently going through eventually will cease.
yeah, and at some point, you and your friends can start showing more visibly when more of our frequency has been raised by more of us. Yes,
Yes, but that will be more happening whether you want it to or not in the next few years. But
because it's a
we are on the process, we are on the actual schedule to have these experiences, to have us be part of your world and you part of ours.
right.
We will share technology with you eventually. We will give you gifts that will help improve your society. We will not give you anything that would destroy you.
What about technology to clean the water or the air?
As we said, we will give you technology that will help you.
Right. Okay. Cool. At what point can we start seeing crafts in the sky of Toronto or
You
similar?
are already starting to see the frequency of ships being shown above your world in the air, coming out of ground, coming out of vortexes, coming out of portals, and just generally flying around is becoming more and more common. You are already seeing these things. Eventually, you won't just be a weather balloon.
Would it become like a daily or weekly event, a sighting?
It will be as common as seeing an airplane in the sky. Eventually, be
And,
like, oh, there's a spaceship. Oh, okay, go and go back about your work.
and at that point, we communicate or not yet?
Yes, yes, that is why we are here. We are here to communicate with you and share our point of view and our perspective, because your world is important, whether you think it is or not. The idea of your world falling apart, like you have been depicted in your media, such as science fiction, where your world goes to seed and it destroys itself. These are memories of the Greys, because their version of Earth, their reality, where they experienced that, that was their reality. The fact that you're being shown these understandings and these ways of doing things should tell you it's not your future. It is a it is a memory from a parallel reality where you have an incarnation where you destroyed yourselves.
And we're not on a timeline to that anymore.
No. The fact that we are here delivering this information, much in the way that Bashar and Ryoka and many other beings, we do not waste our time. We do not waste our energy. We do not do anything that is not necessary to help our expansion and your expansion. There are many realities where we no longer even communicate with them
Why?
because they were too far down the negative timeline. They were not receptive and not willing to go down the path of least resistance. And it was deemed at that time for those realities to no longer have communication with them. The information was removed from those realities in order to focus on ones like this and a few others that are reaching the point of open contact. There are also versions of Earth where open contact has already occurred.
Come again, please.
There are realities, timelines, as you will, where contact has already happened.
In the flesh?
Yes.
In this time or before?
No, it's a different reality altogether. It is a parallel timeline.
Okay.
There are many different versions of Earth that all have experienced different histories. You know the idea of the Mandela effect?
Yes.
Those are memories, those are experiences, those are things from another reality. All those things you think the Fruit of Looms had a cornucopia. The Monopoly Man had a monocle. The Peanut Man had a monocle as well. And
Right.
many, many other examples. There are memories that people say, oh, the color yellow was the way to go. That was on a version of Earth where that was relevant, not this one. You are shifting en masse between many, many different realities and giving you many different experiences. It's okay. Eventually, you will see us in the flesh. You will experience many extraterrestrial beings, and it will become very commonplace that we will become part of your society.
Right. So, just to ask you about the timelines.
Yes.
So a timeline is a trajectory of reality of sorts?
Yes. A trajectory of a particular momentum with a particular frequency where you have been predicted to have this experience. It is more of a reading of the momentum you have for a particular energy and a particular direction that you are taking.
Right. So where things are going is where if you could sense where things are going, that's the main timeline, so to speak.
Yes, that is the general trajectory that you are on currently. That is anytime you hear a prediction of the future, that is all they are doing.
Very good. Do you see all those skirmishes in the Middle East subsiding soon?
You still have a few months before that particular energy works itself out and cannot sustain itself because it is very fast, very bright burning energy that takes up a lot of energy to use, so they cannot maintain that particular intensity for very long.
Yeah, well, that's good. What do you see as the future of governance, educate, like government education, things of that nature?
Less centralized, more local, more on a case by case basis, less of we need to control you.
What about the tax system that feeds all that?
There will be an event in a few years to come that will completely change the approach that the current tax system, the current economic environment will have to change because it can no longer survive under its own weight. But remember, these are the systems that need to change moving forward, that will need to rebalance themselves to have the opportunity to live in a more holistic, balanced way. No matter where you are, no matter what you do, whether it's working for yourself or working for a company, your choice.
Do you see more and more people working for themselves in the future?
Eventually, you'll move to the idea of more of a barter system versus the idea of currency. But then again, you will always have the idea of currency in some way, shape, or form to trade and have that currency way of exchanging your energy, your understanding of having the extremes You will see less of the extremes in your world, but this will still take years down the road for you to experience that particular reality.
Right. I mean, if I wanted to buy a piece of technology, I won't be able to exchange it for something I made at home because that technology will have to come out of a company. There's need a lot of structure to create this thing.
Yes, but that is necessary for those types of innovations, those types of understanding. But
Right.
you will start seeing smaller companies arise to fulfill these needs instead of having much larger companies that step out of line and try to think they are more than the government, more than the experience, more than the people that they serve.
Right.
I do
What
not
about,
think anyone that listens to this, I am better than any of you. I am just here to facilitate and to share understandings with you to be able to live a more fulfilled life.
absolutely. Thank you. Ethan, what do you see the future of healthcare right now in Canada? It's very different in the States. The Canada, you know, surgery paid for in the States, not at all. Where are we going with future of healthcare?
The healthcare system eventually will be less capitally driven and more people driven. The technology, the way they prescribe medicine will be more natural in nature. You will see less of things that do not come from nature as the way you move forward as the go-to.
Yeah.
Think balance. Anytime and anywhere in your years to come, it's more of the idea of balance, less of the idea of trying to get anything. Understand that technology is all good and well, but you will start seeing a return to the more simple life, the more simple things that actually entertain you.
Right.
This will be common.
Yeah, that's fine.
Think more in the idea of balance.
Right.
Your world has been in the idea of extremes for thousands of years. You will be moving more into an age of Aquarius, where it is more about us, less about me.
That's good. That's good.
But this will still take years to build. It's not going to happen overnight. You don't want it to happen overnight.
Of course. What about things like obesity, fast food? A lot of the foods at the supermarket are not even, I wouldn't even classify as food. Do you see these things leaving us at some point?
Eventually, you will start seeing more of locally grown food. You will see more of people actually growing their own food and eating more healthily. As we said, extremes.
Right. At what point can we let go of all the armies?
You will know the time that it is relevant for you to have that experience. It is not that time yet.
Yeah, but it
We
will
cannot
happen at
give
some
we
point.
cannot give you a time frame because it is still in flux as to when the idea of armies are still necessary.
Yeah, I don't really care how many years it takes, but at some point, I assume it will happen once we globalize as a society. Yes,
Yes.
maybe
When
we
you
need.
when you move away from the idea of extremes, the idea of selfishness that you need to guard yourself away from having an experience or guarding your country from not having enough, because that is where many of you on this planet that are in charge, that have lived by hoarding wealth away from the populace. It is that selfish idea, that selfish mentality that I am the most important person in the world instead of how can I help the world be better? How
Right,
can I serve? You will be moving more into the idea over the years to come and more into the idea of how may I serve?
Yes. This reminds me of the teachings from Ra that were channeled in the 80s. And Ra speaks of the positive direction and the negative direction. The positive is 51% or more a person puts their energy towards the good of the greater good,
Yes.
others, and so just over half take care
Yes.
of the others. Yeah,
This is the idea.
this is the idea.
You do not need to be negatively oriented, but understand there is a such thing as balance. The way that the channel himself is actually being of service is by allowing me to flow through him and share information with you and share my perspective on reality. I may not be giving you specific things, but I am helping you as a people that do watch these channels, which they will be on for many years to come, to be able to move through the clutter that has plagued your people.
Excellent. I would guess at this point, is it important how many people watch us right now, or is it
Now,
important that we just get this information out?
just get the information out. The people that need to watch, and it will grow as time moves on, and your ability to do this more fully and openly will expand as you move forward. Just give it
Thank you.
time.
Yeah.
Remember, none of this needs to happen right now because it is not necessary for it to happen right now. If it were relevant for you to have the experience of becoming the big channel on the block where there's a million people that come to the channel to ask questions, it will happen. But just know the people that actually need to receive the information that is being given through the channel, because there are many people in the future that will find these particular transmissions and learn from them. We can see them. We can connect to
Yeah.
them, even though they are not in this time frame.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I sense it too, and I try to organize these calls in such way that makes sense, and the topics are clearly organized as you know.
Yes.
Okay.
And that way you are serving and doing what you need to for the channel because he is not able to facilitate that part of the connection. And that way you are acting as the counterpart, the physicalized form, the physical person to actually have a connection. It's not about doing it all by yourself.
Yes. 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 I'm happy I can assist.
Yes.
Um, I wanted to ask you, Ethan. The word to manifest comes more and more around, and to manifest, the way I understand it, is to make something happen
To
in
make it
in
visible.
to make it
The
visible.
action the action that you take to bring in accordance, we will put it this way, to be in accordance with a paintbrush is to have it in your hand and understand how to use it. When you are trying to make manifest those things that actually appear in your life, you are in a vibrational accordance and harmony with that, so it does appear and is present in your life. Harmony
And
comes from understanding how to use something. That is why it has manifested in your life, because you are in a state of understanding and having to be able to have those things in your life.
okay, so what would someone do if they want to learn how to manifest, whatever it is?
Practice. If
Practice.
it doesn't matter what it is, you must be in vibrational accordance, be harmonious with that particular frequency to have it in your life. If you are coming from a state of I want this, I don't have this, that's all you'll ever get. You are in accordance with that understanding, that way of being.
When my daughter was younger, maybe 2 or 3 or 4, we would stand on the balcony or walk on the street and said, "Let's manifest a purple balloon." And lo
Yes.
and behold, before you know it, there's a purple balloon shows up. How is it even possible?
You are in that moment a relaxed state of receiving and understanding that you are in vibrational accord of having that. It's all about vibrational resonance to be able to attract those things. If you come from a place of not having something in your life, that is where the idea of practicing as if or as you have it comes into accord, so you can practice the particular frequency that allows you to actually have these things in your life.
I guess what I discovered when I played with these concepts was that there was a deep work on self forgiveness and compassion to the self, in order
Mhm.
to be in a point of accepting,
Yeah.
receiving.
If you do not forgive yourself and do not allow yourself to actually be in accordance, because that's what really forgiveness is. It's you're allowing yourself to be in a frequency state where you can actually receive those things. If you do not believe you're worthy of having those things, that you have something to feel guilty about, you will never attract those things into your life.
Ethan, I really see the issue of worthiness as the main problem for the society we live in right now.
Yes, you all have been fed the idea, the propaganda, the information that you are guilty, you are sinful, you are evil, disgusting people.
Yeah,
The channel himself always knew he had the capacity, but until he had reached the appropriate state to be in a place of receiving, he would never have been able to receive the connection. He then, therefore, had to go through a process of letting go and allowing himself to actually receive the information, receive being in the state. He knew this was important, so he practiced to the point where he is now in front of you, able to have a full conversation and allow us to flow through him very smoothly without much interruption.
right. How did we end up to be a society that is really controlled by guilt, fear, and shame? Is that what it
You
seems to
have
be?
you have many institutions on your planet that have reinforced the idea that you're worthless.
Right.
You have people that are entrenched in the idea of not enough, that they need to control things, that they come from a place of fear. So therefore, those are the organizations that they create.
I had to go to the government office today, and there's to my left the station where people take their pictures for some sort of government ID, for health card or driver's license. And a part of me was just could not connect to it. How we can like allow ourselves to be on some IDs and let other people check it and tell us what to do at all.
As we said, much of the actual society, the governmental systems will change in the years to come. It's just you are working through very fear based energy that
Okay.
is still manifest in your reality. It will change.
That is very, very important.
Yes. But
And it's
your society, your government structures, your people in your reality, in your homes, in your communities, your governments are a reflection of where you've been for many years. In that fear state, that state of not having enough, that you need to be controlled, that is a reflection.
yeah, absolutely. And perhaps that's why we need that new generation that are completely different thinkers
They
and
are a
and
completely different species.
species.
The generations that are starting to be born on your world for the last 10 to 15 years are the start of a whole new species.
Homo galacticus.
At least the start of it.
And then what?
You will see.
I see.
It just takes time.
Right.
Many humans are in a rush to get somewhere. There's nowhere else to be other than here and now.
True, true. I don't know why humans are always so obsessed with the past and the future, but it's a thing.
Because that's the way you've been taught to interpret. That is the way you've not been allowed to have closure on events. You have not been allowed to have acknowledgement from the people around you without just acknowledging yourself and realizing that's good enough.
Right.
It's okay to not have validation from other people, but as long as you have validation for yourself, you'll be fine.
That's very true. Taking some notes here. You know what I'm realizing right now as you speak that the ego, fear, and shame really feeds into not allowing oneself to be in the moment, because that could be associated with guilt, fear, and shame because it's luxury. It's too much for me. I'm not worthy of being in the moment or taking a deep breath or going to yoga. And therefore, I always have to rush somewhere or watch a screen or consume some media instead of just not have the screen on. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
yes. This is the idea.
This is the idea.
This is the understanding to return to more of an innocent state. Many of you that rush through life, especially when you are much younger, to the idea of growing up and having all the things. You have everything you need all the time.
Yes, we do.
But when a need arises, it's telling you to go a particular direction that is helping you grow as a person that you would not have otherwise.
Right.
So allow those needs to guide you, but understand where they're coming from. When they are coming from a negative place, a negative aspect of yourself, those will be the things that destroy you. But in the process of rising up and showing you what is there, that is also part of the kit of excitement that reveals to you the negative beliefs that have been below the surface.
Right. I see what you mean. And I think that connects to something you've said in the past that I think it was you, but maybe not. But that the more the light, the more the dark comes to light. The more so, even if things are seemingly looking better, they may seem a little worse because we are discovering more or going deeper into our wounds and traumas
Yes,
to
but
heal
that
them.
is what you're going through the age of letting go of those traumas that have been held in place for generations, for thousands of years, as you understand it.
Yes. And that's why we need the new species.
No, it is the next natural evolution of the human species.
Okay. But everything does connect. I mean, raising the frequency, meeting
Yeah,
with you.
yes. That
I
is why
was
we are here.
right. Very good. Very good. Ethan, I want to thank you for today. We are complete for today. Thank you very much.
Good day.
Good day.